I think the biggest learning is AI is unpredictable. Like, we don't know what AI is going to be like in a couple of years. I think one thing that we know for sure is that, there's no way around AI. AI will become part of our daily lives. And if we don't get on board with it now, we'll just get left behind.
Welcome to Avidly Talks, a mostly marketing, sales and HubSpot focused podcast. Each week we're diving into topics to help you do better in your work. Try and make you smile along the way. This week I'm joined by Lisa Stappert, a CRM specialist at Avidly, former inbound professor at HubSpot, and worked as part of the brilliant HubSpot Academy team. If you're a user of HubSpot, or not actually, I think anyone can use HubSpot Academy, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you've just recently-ish joined Avidly from the HubSpot team. When we met, you were introduced to me by Clemens, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd just done your AI course.
Exactly, yeah.
AI for marketers.
AI for marketers, yeah.
We've not been in sync. That was a while ago, yeah. So
it's been we've been hard to track down for each other, I guess.
We met in Munich, and then we'll do it next week, and then all of a sudden it's been about. Yeah. How long has it been? About 2 months since we got diaries in sync.
Yeah. Two months. Yeah, I guess we should have done it in Munich over a beer, in person. Like this. Now here I am drinking a tea. Like it was summer when we met. Now it's just not summer anymore. Sure.
I've got the cordial. Do you have cordial in Germany?
No. What is that? So
it's like this is water up to here, and then you put the cordial mixture in to turn it into juice.
Okay. Okay, but what flavor is it?
Oh, apple and blackcurrant.
Apple and blackcurrant, all right.
Now, this podcast was meant to be a chat over a beer or a non-alcoholic mocktail. But I quickly realised a lot of people are only free during work hours. Or they're over in America and
it's morning.
It's morning and they've got a coffee, and I can't sit there with a beer while people have got a coffee.
I mean, you got to talk to my manager, ask him if I'm allowed to start drinking with you at this hour. I don't know.
Who's your manager?
Crizo.
I think he'd say yeah.
Yeah, he probably would actually. I don't know if my client work would go over that well afterwards, though. So maybe I'll stick with the tea for now. But next time, Paul, we'll do it in person over a pint.
Was that a Tim Hortons mug?
Yeah, it's. My little Canadian self is quite happy with that still, yeah.
I'm babysitting my son's Tamagotchi, 1 second.
Oh. It also needs food, it's lunchtime.
Yeah. Oh, he needs everything. Okay, give him some burgers. I'll keep him quiet for a bit. Right, cool. Tell us about your academy course. You AI for marketers. Obviously, AI is a big topic, but why were you doing that course?
I mean, so maybe let's move back kind of to where we met when I was still at HubSpot Academy as an inbound professor. So my specialization or my focus was our German learners. So I was localizing existing English courses and creating new courses for our German learners. And my colleague, Crystal King, or former colleague now, I suppose, Crystal King created a English version of the AI for Marketers course back in, I believe, 2023 already. And as you said, AI is a big topic these days. So not just these days, actually for a couple of years now, but it became fairly clear that there was interest for an AI course from our German learners as well. And so I kind of took her English course as a guideline into creating a German version of it. I collaborated with some really incredible, smart people from Germany and Switzerland. I kind of got to read a lot of research on the use of AI, and it was probably one of my favorite projects that I worked on.
How AI savvy were you before?
You mean, I mean, listen, Paul, I'm no expert in AI, and I still don't think I'm an expert in AI.
You could have
I'm a
told me this
tech.
before I lined up a podcast about
I know I
AI.
probably should. I probably should. But I'm a tech nerd, I would say that much, and I just love to learn. Like I love to not only read research but speak to people that are the experts. And I think that's kind of what has been my journey at the academy anyways. It's like you find a topic that is of interest, you learn all that you can in a very short time frame, and then you try and find the stuff that, or the points that really are important, not just to you, but that would be important to the learners as well. And I think that is what any academy course really is. Like, we develop expert-like skills, research skills, for the specific topics that we do courses on.
What were your sort of learnings like that come to mind from taking and speaking to these experts and collaborating with them?
I think the biggest learning is AI is unpredictable. Like, we don't know what AI is going to be like in a couple of years. I think one thing that we know for sure is that, there's no way around AI. AI will become part of our daily lives. And if we don't get on board with it now, we'll just get left behind.
You talked about translating and obviously contextualizing for the German audience of the academy. I'm just interested, a bit off topic. What are the peculiarities when you were doing that for academy? What's the difference between like a global English content and a German content audience?
I mean, for one, I think there's, why would, Klaus from Berlin care about what Josh in Ohio is doing, right? Like, it's seeing, especially when it comes to kind of the HubSpot software use cases, it's what does that actually look like in the context of me? We're all self-focused, self-centered. Like, let's not kid ourselves here, right? So what does that look like in the context of, the German or European legal system versus what it's like in the US? So that was kind of a big one, actually finding the examples that make sense for this audience.
Especially AI.
Especially with AI, right? So you have the AI Act that is part of the European Union, is implemented as part of the European Union now, where that is like a first of its kind, which wasn't even available when the original course was created. So to be able to talk to the experts that I got to interview as part of this course that maybe weren't there when the decision of the AI Act was, that is a hard one to say, AI Act was made, but they have been doing research for months, years, in some cases, on exactly the legal and the ethical usage of AI in marketing, and of AI like data insights and where that data is stored. And whether that be GDPR or AI, like, Europe is a special place when it comes to data privacy, I feel like. So being able to ask specific questions about exactly those type of nuances to these experts that have just been researching it for so long was super cool, because then, the little nerd Lisa could come out and be like, okay, well, let's talk about GDPR and like why AI is important with that too. So yeah.
It's it's always interesting when you see these big releases from usually American software companies. I guess China as well, but mainly America, for Europe anyway, where it's a bit more free and loose with data, and a lot of the times we can't then go and apply a lot of these tools here in Europe. Can you give any instances where you've run across this with all the releases and things, whether it's client facing now at Avidly or in your time in HubSpot Academy?
Yeah, I think, it's one of the best examples, I think, is HubSpot Breeze. Like, for a long time it wasn't, or maybe not for a long time, but for a certain amount of time it wasn't quite clear what features could and can be used within Europe, because there was no answer to where is this data being processed, and GDPR compliance, the data needs to stay here. So I think there's still going to be a lot of those questions where does this data go when you feed it to an AI engine, that we need answers to before Europe can fully like go 100% on AI. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we'll see as a European market in the future with AI, because places where there might not be such high standards of data privacy laws, they might just be advancing a lot quicker and, adopting AI a lot quicker. And what can we do now to not get left behind?
It always makes me worry I sound like a conspiracy theorist or need a tinfoil hat on, but I always go back when we talk on this kind of topic around AI to a conversation I had with my sister who works for the Department for Work and Pensions here in the UK years ago. Before AI was not badged as it is now. Like you say, it's been around for years, but before it was mainstream. And governments were already working at positioning, like basically Germany, France, Britain, America, working together to make sure we were protected when the fourth industrial revolution really took hold. And then at the same time, you get this big existential question in Europe at the moment when we're recording this around what freedoms these technologies have and where do we draw the line without stifling progress. It's mad when you look at it at that level.
Yeah, it actually, I think it can get overwhelming to the point where it hinders you from actually exploring those tools.
How do you deal with it with your customers? How do you get your customers to stop it being this big scary thing, which on the one hand it sort of is, because if I can't use it because of the data rules, but how do you help your customers get using new tools, and especially stuff baked into HubSpot that's just right there?
Yeah, I think, it's a matter of knowing what goes where. And I think maybe even zooming out even further. First of all, finding out what is the goal that we're trying to achieve here. Is this really the right tool? And then doing that data and data privacy research around that tool, and answering those questions and those concerns that the customer might have will kind of get rid of most of the concerns, because they then feel comfortable with, okay, my data is staying with me. It's not going to, I don't know where. And, just being able to provide those answers and find those answers. It can sometimes take a while, of course, not every company is quite as forthcoming with where their data is being stored, but that kind of takes away the trust from that company. And that's when eventually they just then start losing customers because of that.
When that's sort of like the legal and compliance side of it, once we've got a yes ticked on the tools we can use, what's your well, no, just you personally, what tools are you using in your day to day, and how are you using them?
I mean, I think kind of even going back further, my first AI tool or my first exposure was kind of the Amazon others also bought, or the Netflix recommendations, the Spotify. My day-to-day, I use Spotify. The recommended playlists to me, I love them. I love being able to find new music without any work from my side other than listening to a targeted playlist based on my listening behavior. Like, how cool is that? You know what I mean? Like,
Do you find though sometimes it goes and finds things that are too like what you like? I wish you could dial. I wish you could change that.
This is a tinfoil hat conversation again, I think.
No, but it's like I don't want to hear more from
that artist or that.
Yeah, I want to hear who influenced them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sometimes it's too good.
I feel like you could probably ask ChatGPT to create a playlist for you based on that.
Yeah, I'm started using ChatGPT for recommending books.
Yeah, I think ChatGPT is definitely one of the things that I use most frequently.
Do you use any others like Claude or the others?
Yes, I've tried it. I think because I like the easy interface and shortcut of the ChatGPT application on my computer. I
don't know this shortcut. What's the shortcut?
Once you have it downloaded, you can set a shortcut on,
okay.
And then it just pops up, kind of like your search bar or whatever in Slack or.
Do you use Apple? Mac. Do you use an iPhone? Is Apple Intelligence coming in the EU? Or is it blocked?
I have not heard of that. So I only use my work Mac, so I don't know
if it's different in the UK. I should have a look at this in a bit more detail, but we're getting Apple Intelligence before the end of the year, part of iOS 18. But what's interesting is that it's all or nothing. So if you want Siri to be able to actually know, I don't know, which Spotify playlist you mean, for example, you need all the other things that come with Apple Intelligence.
Interesting. That is a weird approach. I mean, it makes sense from the Apple side, but again, from the consumer side, that feels a little bit stepping over the line.
But yeah, that's it's something we're going to need to navigate as well as sort of marketers and an agency.
Sure, yeah. No, I think, like with HubSpot Breeze, there's a ton of opportunity, especially if you're a marketer using HubSpot, and having those assistants baked into the software that you're already using, right? Like creating AI generated content based on your brand voice, the content that's already there, and then being able to edit it right in the tool that you're already in. I think, I started using it with customers now, and I quite enjoy it. It's so easy to use because we're already using HubSpot, so why not use that, right? So, yeah.
Our colleague Emily, when we were talking about how things had accelerated so much in summer 2024 around Google AI overviews, Search GPT waitlists, etc., iOS 18, Apple Intelligence being rolled out, and she talked about, let's not forget, you said you're a tech nerd, but all of us in this space, you might be more of a tech nerd than some, but all of us in this space compared to the wider world, if we work in HubSpot, we know what a modern CRM is, we use email automation. This is Tamagotchi again.
Tamagotchi, more hamburgers.
What does he want now? Oh, he needs playing with. I'm not doing that. The adoption curve normally would have us at the front, and then there'd be the big masses who take their time. But the speed with which we're getting adoption, because like Breeze, or Apple Intelligence, or Google AI Overviews, it's a forced adoption.
Yep.
Are you running into, when you speak to clients, anybody who's still not waking up to that fact?
I think some people don't realize that is also AI. I think it's, especially if it's tools that they are comfortable using with already, and then, it's just a new feature. And, HubSpot now mentions, hey, this is AI generated, or, try our AI agent for this.
The other thing is as well, loads of tools just having a little bit of an algorithm going on and going, it's AI, when it's not.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people just don't realize what all falls under the term artificial intelligence. You know, like most of the stuff we talk about is generative AI, which that is what a marketer will use most of the time, right? Like there's other parts of AI that I don't think are getting as much exposure, but as
Such
marketers, sorry,
like what? Like what?
um,
What's not?
good question. Now that you put me on the spot,
Agents. One thing I
I
wanted
think,
to.
yeah, let's talk agents, sure.
What's the difference? Why are agents such a big deal?
I think it's because it's learning or doing the tasks that you're telling it to.
How's that
You know,
different from an assistant though?
good questions. You would have to ask the smart people at HubSpot why the naming.
The way the way I understand it is that it's a subtle switch, but whereas I might need to get from A to B by telling ChatGPT three times or at three different
Yeah,
intervals,
you're doing different prompts.
an agent knows what the next prompt will be based on the output of just an initial prompt. And it sounds like when the end output is pretty similar, well, it saves me telling it twice. I think what I'm running into is people being like, well, that's just the same as I can do that with ChatGPT. But you said it's baked in there and it's got that agent level kind of contextual thinking, which just saves so much time every time that
Yeah.
task happens.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually a really good explanation. I had never thought of it like that. I mean, why would you do 3 steps if you can do it in one? You know,
Yeah.
that's especially you have to leave the tool that you're in to
Something
then
I've
ask ChatGPT. Yeah.
The other feedback I get is that it's not quite as good, or it's not good enough yet. But I think the people need to go back. It's no good now on launch. Don't come back to it next year. Come
Yeah.
back to it in a month, and it will have
Yeah.
gone forward so much more.
Yeah. I mean, even looking at, you know, when we're talking ChatGPT, how that has evolved like in the last couple of years, even. Like, I don't think anyone could have predicted that it would evolve as quickly as it did and gain the number of users as quickly as it did, which is why it's even becoming faster at evolving. So it's wild to me to think that, you know, 3 years from now, what does that gonna look like? I don't know. I have no idea. I'll be quite honest with you. I know that it'll be more part of our day to day than it is now. And I think we're getting to a point where it already is becoming normal to have, whether it's an assistant agent in Google, wherever, like we're just accustomed to those subtle changes now, and it'll continue for years to come.
Did you have a tipping point where you were sort of like, whoa, I've gone to GPT for that rather than Google?
I think it was while working on the course, actually. Like it was kind of a nice to have, play around with, but because a course can take anywhere from like a month to 6, 7, 8 months to create, depending on, you know, what is it from scratch, is it being localized, and what's the breadth of the topic. And rather than going to Google, I found myself, oh, I wonder if I, you know, actually can use a proper prompting technique for ChatGPT to get my script written. Why not? Give it a try. And, you know, then you go to like a DeepL or something where they take it and they translate it for you, or even do that in ChatGPT or whatever, right? Like it was kind of during the process of creating that course where I found myself more and more going to ChatGPT rather than Google.
Mm. I I relate to that totally. Same sort of just finding myself doing it. That's why I asked. It's always a good question to ask when I'm presenting to people as well. Let's say like the HubSpot user groups or something, and then you see people going, "Actually, I do, yeah."
Yeah. It's like in the last week, how often have you gone to Google versus how long have you, or how often have you gotten to ChatGPT? And you're like, it's bizarre that, because I never thought, oh, I'm a Google user, like we use, the G Suite at work, like we're part of Google, it feels like almost, because you're so accustomed to, oh, let's Google that real quick. Will we start saying let's ChatGPT that real quick?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think so.
I think we're already saying like, hey, ask ChatGPT about it.
Even if I said that and you were a Perplexity user, you'd go and use Perplexity. But I think back to like the wider direction. I think who do you think's going to win out and be sort of the Google it? Because we've lost so many search engines really over the years, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if I knew that, I would be buying stocks left, right, and center right now.
True.
And I'd play the lottery too, probably, and be on a beach somewhere nice, but not in this rain. But I think what we'll see is, there's kind of like 2-3 companies of the bigger players that will actually end up buying a lot of the smaller ones, and kind of similar to Google, become that name, that brand. And right now it's looking like ChatGPT, but who knows?
Things move fast, don't they?
Yeah, who knows what's going to come out in a month or 3, right? So
yeah.
I do think, with OpenAI, there's so many developer power in that, and knowledge already in that it'll be hard to catch up to. But if in any field that will be the case, it'll be in artificial intelligence. Like we'll see what happens. But I think you're right. It's going to be 1 or 2 big players, and everybody else will kind of fall off eventually.
I think what's a given is we have to start using them and becoming au fait with them consciously. We're going to be forced to be using them. If you're Googling things, you're now using AI and reading AI overviews. So is it in Germany today?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, cool. Because it's only in certain countries, isn't it? And every time I speak to someone, it's like, is it in your country or not? But yeah, we've got it as well in the UK. People need to start using it. What are your tips for people to... Obviously, we've got Breeze. I think you're going to recommend that if you're a HubSpot user. But if you're not, what are the tools that people should go and start using? And what's your tip for this week for people to go and just, get started, really?
I think, we kind of touched on it at the very beginning. Don't get overwhelmed by all of the options that there are. Zoom out and kind of see, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? And then go ask ChatGPT, hey, what are the top 10 tools to achieve this goal? And, do a list, compare them, get ChatGPT to compare them for you and the pros and cons of each, and start playing with them. I think, just get started is the biggest one. I think don't get caught up in, oh, this thing here, or is it this one, or like wanting to implement everything all at once. Pick out one goal you have for the week and go ahead and try it out and see if it works. And I think the biggest part one of the important parts about using AI is to, especially when working in marketing or in business in general, is, what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve? Use that tool to the best of your abilities to achieve that goal. Continuously train yourself and your team on that, and go back and actually check, is this tool helping us achieve this, or is it more of a blocker? And then you just kind of advance along with AI. So I think that would be my tip. Just go and do it.
Nice. Kind of like the Nike slogan.
Yeah, but
just go and do it.
Just go and do it. The AI version.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We're just coming up to time. I think that's a recurring theme definitely in this series. If you've not tried it, or you tried it when all the buzz happened, was it 2022 or 2023 with ChatGPT?
21 even, maybe, yeah.
If you tried it then and weren't blown away, try it again now. And if you haven't tried it yet, which I doubt anybody is really, just go and do it.
Just go and do it. And also go watch the Academy course, of course. I mean, if you still have questions.
Yeah. There you go. And anyone can access the course.
yes, it's a free course, so you can just sign into HubSpot Academy with a free account, and you can take it in English and in German right now, and I think other languages are following as well. So
Brilliant. So maybe watch the course first, then just go and try the tool. I really like your tip as well around find the goal you're trying to solve, and there'll be a tool to help you do that. So if it's making a presentation, generating an image, doing some research, there'll be point solution tools, won't there? Very nice.
Exactly. Thanks for having me, Paul. This was fun.
Thanks for coming on. I think we'll be doing this again. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a comment and 5-star review, plus hit the follow button to not miss future episodes. We've got 120 plus episodes for you in the back catalogue as well. We'll see you next time, and we'll talk again soon. Lisa, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hey, did you enjoy this episode? Then be sure to leave us a comment, a review, and hit that follow button. See you next episode.